let's be honest. Our culture worships the grind. Everywhere you turn, the message is the same. Work harder, stay up later, force outcomes into being. Hustle has become the badge of honor, the so-called secret to success. But here's the twist. What if almost everything you've been taught about manifestation and achievement is actually backwards? What if the constant chasing, the relentless effort, is the very thing pushing your dreams further away instead of closer? In the framework of quantum manifestation, the hustle mindset doesn't just fall short, it actually creates resistance. It makes what you want even harder to reach. Because here's the truth. The quantum field, the invisible layer of reality we all live in, doesn't play by the same rules as traditional goal setting or hustle culture. It doesn't respond to your desperation, your forced rituals, or your sleepless nights spent obsessing. The field responds only to coherence. In other words, your inner state has to line up with the desires you claim to want. This is where so many people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They declare one thing, but vibrate something else entirely. They say they want abundance, but they radiate fear of not having enough. They say they're ready for love, but their energy is soaked in loneliness. They speak words of independence, but their entire nervous system is broadcasting anxiety and doubt. And here's the blunt truth. The universe is not moved by your affirmations, your fancy journals, or even your elaborate manifestation rituals. It isn't tallying up your vision boards. It reads your frequency, your real vibration beneath the performance. Manifestation, in its truest sense, isn't about begging reality to deliver. It's about transforming into the person who already lives in the reality you're reaching for. Picture the quantum field like an endless ocean of possibilities. It doesn't judge. It doesn't keep score. It simply reflects back the signal you're putting out. That's why your role isn't to fight and force your way forward. It's to broadcast the right signal, to tune yourself to the frequency of the reality you want to experience. That means letting go of the chase and instead stepping fully into being. Now, this is the part that confuses most people. They hear phrases like, embody your success or feel the wish fulfilled, and immediately think it sounds fake or forced. And that's because they've been missing the most crucial truth. The energy of attraction comes not from straining, but from allowing. Allowing is the real magnet. Science even backs this up. Quantum physics shows that attention shapes reality, but it only crystallizes when attention is paired with expectation, not panic, not doubt. When you see life through the lens of trust and inner knowing, opportunities begin to collapse into form. But if your attention is dripping with anxiety, those same opportunities drift by untouched. And let's pause here for a second. This isn't about blaming yourself or piling on more guilt. It's about awareness. It's about realizing your energy speaks louder than any words you could say. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you want to hear 105.3 FM, but your dial is stuck on 92.5, you can scream, beg, and hope all you want. You're never going to hear the right station. You have to actually change the frequency. Manifestation works in the same way. Instead of pleading, your job is to shift into alignment with the life you want to live. And make no mistake, this isn't just airy, New Age philosophy. It's the very place where ancient wisdom meets cutting-edge science. Neville Goddard, decades ago, taught that the key was to live as though your wish was already fulfilled, to actually feel the essence of it now, not someday in the future. Today, neuroscientist Joe Dispenza breaks it down through research on mental and emotional coherence. How your heart and brain syncing up create a broadcast powerful enough to influence the quantum field. Abraham Hicks talks about this as the effortless flow state, that magical alignment where you stop struggling and suddenly life begins to flow toward you instead of away from you. But here's the catch. Simplicity doesn't sell. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that struggle equals growth, that progress has to hurt, that sacrifice is the price of success. So when you hear the idea that allowing something as simple as inner alignment could be the key, it feels too easy, too simple. And because easy doesn't sound glamorous, the manifestation industry has spun this into complex systems, multi-step rituals, and endless rules. But the field doesn't care about your complicated systems. It doesn't recognize your effort. It responds only to your state of being. That's why you can meditate for 8 hours a day. But if the energy driving it is desperation, if you're doing it to force something into reality, all you're really doing is amplifying lack. You're making the absence of what you want stronger in your vibration. Ancient teachers knew this, which is why they always spoke in parables and simple truths. They understood that transformation isn't born from more effort. It's born from small shifts in awareness that realign you with truth. When Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe," he wasn't pointing toward shallow optimism. He was pointing toward an embodied knowing. When Buddha spoke of detachment, he didn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. He meant letting go of force, letting go of the push, and stepping into the natural ease of allowing. And that's exactly the pivot we need to make if we're serious about creating the life we dream of. Here's the game-changing shift. The life you want isn't somewhere out there waiting to be earned. Quantum physics tells us every possible outcome exists simultaneously in the field. That means your dream relationship, your financial breakthrough, your purpose-driven career, they already exist as potential realities. They're not far away. They're not stuck in the future. They're already real, happening in parallel. Your only task is not to chase them down, but to match their frequency. And that means dropping the someday mindset. No more waiting for perfect conditions. No more waiting for money to show up first. No more waiting for someone else's validation. The moment you embody the reality you're calling in, that's the moment the field begins reflecting it back to you. Because here's the unshakable truth. Reality is a mirror. Whatever you see outside is reflecting what you're broadcasting inside. And this is exactly why manifestation feels so frustrating for so many people. They treat it like a checklist. Meditate in the morning? Check. Say affirmations? Check. Journal intentions? Check. But if all of that is just surface-level performance without shifting the inner state, then the outer reflection won't change. You can't change the mirror by wiping the reflection. You have to change the source. The quantum field isn't responding to your routines. It's responding to the authentic vibration beneath them. And authenticity doesn't mean pretending you're wealthy while secretly feeling sick over bills. It's not saying you trust the process while obsessively refreshing your email for some kind of proof. Authentic being means your inner world genuinely matches the life you're calling forth. Joe Dispenza describes it perfectly. Your thoughts carry electrical energy, and your emotions carry magnetic force. Together, they create a broadcast, an energetic signature that the field echoes back. And that field, infinite with possibilities, doesn't respond to your words. It responds to what you embody. So let's ground this with an example. Say you want financial freedom, but every morning you're stressing about bills, scanning your bank account with anxiety, imagining everything that could go wrong. What kind of frequency are you broadcasting? Scarcity. And scarcity can't attract abundance. The field isn't punishing you. It's simply mirroring back the energy you're living in. And here's the breakthrough. The fastest way to shift your reality isn't to grind harder or chase after something new. It's to embody it now, to practice the emotional state of already having what you want until it becomes second nature. This isn't pretending. This is remembering. Because in the infinite quantum multiverse, the version of you who already has it is just as real as the version who doesn't. Science actually proves this. Mental rehearsal, the act of vividly imagining your desired future, literally rewires your brain. When you pair that imagination with genuine emotions like gratitude, trust, or excitement, your brain fires as if it's already living that reality. Your body begins to learn the future before it arrives. And once your nervous system accepts it as normal, the quantum field responds. That's why Neville Goddard always said, "Live in the end." Not fake it, live it. Feel the fulfilled desire so completely that it becomes second nature. When your body and mind recalibrate to that state, you stop begging the universe for favors. Instead, you merge with the version of yourself who already exists in that reality and pull that version into the present moment. And here's where the magic really happens. Once you stabilize this resonance, the field mirrors it back as lived experience. Suddenly, you're no longer chasing signs. You become the sign. Reality starts bending toward you. In quantum physics, this is called the observer effect, the idea that conscious observation collapses possibility into form. But here's the kicker. The quality of your observation is everything. Attention infused with trust and certainty carries power. Attention drenched in fear doesn't. So here's the question to ask yourself. From what inner place are you observing your life? When people say, act as if, they don't mean to put on a fake smile and pretend. They mean, embody the emotional posture of someone who knows their success is inevitable. That's the real doorway into mastering frequency. When you begin living from that stance, the whole game changes. You're no longer trying to drag reality toward you. Instead, you become a gravitational force, pulling it in naturally. That's the big shift. Because once you understand that the quantum field doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are, the question transforms. It's no longer, how do I attract this? But, how do I embody this right now so that reality has no choice but to reflect it? Quantum physics has a term for this: superposition. It means all potential realities already exist at once. Your dream job, your soulmate, your financial breakthrough, they're not far-off fantasies. They're right here in the field of potential. The reason they don't materialize instantly is simple. You haven't locked your awareness onto them with full conviction. They stay possibilities instead of becoming reality. And that's where emotional conviction comes in. The field doesn't respond to casual daydreams. It responds to observation that's emotionally charged with certainty, belief, and embodiment. If you're visualizing your dream life while secretly marinating in doubt, you're sending a mixed signal. But when you can feel it so deeply that your nervous system believes it's happening now, you're etching that version of reality into the field. You're no longer chasing. You're stabilizing. Joe Dispenza calls this state coherence. when your heart and mind work in sync. The opposite is the default state for most people: mental chaos, emotional misalignment, thinking one thing, feeling another, acting from fear. That fractured energy creates static interference. The signal is muddy. The field has nothing clear to reflect. But when your mind and heart line up, the broadcast becomes powerful, unified, undeniable. And let's bring this down to the practical level. From a biological perspective, your emotions are chemical messengers. Gratitude floods your system with dopamine and oxytocin. Trust and peace increase serotonin. These aren't just feel-good hormones. They shift your entire state of being. And your state of being is the very thing that determines your point of attraction. Here's the real power. When you learn to generate these emotions without needing outside proof, you reclaim your authority. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. You stop waiting for the bank balance, the phone call, the opportunity to give you permission. Instead, you live from the inside out. Think of your body as a quantum antenna. Every cell in your being vibrates at certain frequencies. When you shift your emotional state, you literally tune your body to a different channel. Emerging research even shows that your DNA responds to emotion, that certain genes turn on or off depending on your consistent emotional state. Which means manifestation isn't just in your head, it's in your cells, it's embodied. And here's where so many people miss the mark. They visualize the outcome but never recalibrate the body. They imagine wealth but still feel scarcity in their gut. They picture love but still carry the weight of loneliness. And since the quantum field listens more to your embodied signal than your surface-level thoughts, misalignment keeps them stuck. That's why manifestation feels like pushing against a wall. You're thinking abundance while embodying lack. Neville Goddard summed it up perfectly. Your assumptions crystallize into facts. And by assumptions, he didn't mean casual thoughts. He meant the emotional assumptions you live in day after day. Those deeply felt states are what bend reality around you. And today, modern science echoes this through the observation effect and coherence. Focused attention doesn't just notice reality, it shapes it. But sustaining this state is where people often stumble. They get it right in meditation or during journaling, touching the vibration of their desired life. But then they spend the rest of the day in worry, fear, or scrolling negativity. It's like planting seeds and then digging them up every day to see if they've sprouted. The field needs consistency, not perfection, but steady reinforcement. That's why the practice isn't about nailing it once. It's about coming back to it again and again, returning to the version of yourself who already has it. Not just in thoughts, but in feelings and actions. Moving as if. Choosing as if. Breathing as if. Each aligned action becomes a brick, stacking into a new identity. And as that vibration stabilizes, the field reorganizes to match it. What people often call synchronicities aren't accidents. They're the universe reflecting back your new signal. Suddenly, doors open effortlessly. Conversations happen at perfect timing. Opportunities align like puzzle pieces. This isn't mysticism. It's resonance. When you shift your broadcast, you naturally land in the timeline where those conditions already exist. And the synchronicities? They're previews, signs that the channel you've tuned into is starting to broadcast clearly. Which is why timing isn't about waiting for external conditions to change. It's about becoming the person who naturally lives in the conditions you desire. When your frequency matches your chosen timeline, the universe doesn't have to rearrange itself for you. It simply reveals what was already there. Now, here's the common pitfall. Most people can hold this alignment only in short bursts. Maybe they have a magical day when everything flows effortlessly, when coincidences stack up and life feels weightless. But the next day, they slip back into old patterns, doubt creeps in, and they wonder what went wrong. The truth is, nothing went wrong. They simply shifted frequencies. They tuned to a different channel. The real mastery comes from holding your frequency regardless of what's happening outside. You'll know manifestation is close when you feel a grounded certainty. Not frantic excitement, but calm inevitability. You stop asking, "When will it come?" and start knowing, "It's already mine." That's the tipping point where wishful thinking transforms into energetic authority. That's when the gap collapses. And here's where another layer of science comes in: quantum entanglement. In physics, once two particles interact, they remain connected across any distance. Affect one, and the other responds instantly. Manifestation works the same way. When you entangle your consciousness with your desired reality, your inner changes ripple outward instantly. You don't need the universe to catch up. It's already linked to you. This explains why some people seem to manifest instantly while others struggle. It's not about luck. It's about the depth of entanglement. Are you more emotionally entangled with your problems or with your solutions? With your fears or with your desires? Most people unknowingly strengthen their connection to struggle by obsessing over it. They rehearse their debt, their loneliness, their limitations, and so that's the signal that remains alive. But the moment you entangle yourself with gratitude, love, possibility, you shift the entire dynamic. Joe Dispenza explains that elevated emotions like awe or joy create gamma coherence in the brain and heart. In that state, your nervous system reorganizes, your body becomes magnetic, and manifestation stops being something you chase. It becomes something you allow. Think back to a moment when life felt effortless, when you were in the right place at the right time, when things lined up without effort. That wasn't luck. That was alignment. The field was reflecting your signal back to you, and the true art is learning to live in that place consistently. And let me remind you of something important. If these words are reaching you right now, it's not random. You're hearing this message because you're already close. That frustration you felt, that sense of spinning your wheels, that doubt about whether you're doing it wrong, that's not failure. That's the signal you're brushing up against the edge of a breakthrough. The very fact that this resonates with you means the field around you is shifting. You're not broken. You're not behind. And you definitely don't need to keep chasing. What you need is to step into the version of yourself who no longer chases at all. That version of you is already within, waiting to be embodied. Every time you remember this truth, you collapse the distance between who you are right now and who you're becoming. So why not let this be the moment? Not tomorrow. Not when circumstances line up. Not when the money finally shows up or when someone else tells you it's okay. Right now. Because this moment is always the entry point into quantum alignment. This is the now, where you stop waiting and start being. And here's a simple but powerful tool to anchor that shift. Type 888 in the comments below. Why 888? Because across many spiritual traditions and numerology systems, 888 is the symbol of infinite abundance and perfect alignment. Think of it as a universal code, a reminder that when you see it, you're syncing with your highest potential. But here's the key. Typing it isn't just a gesture. It's an activation. It's you declaring to yourself in the field, I'm aligned. I'm ready. I'm living this now. And when many people do this together, the effect multiplies. Because that's how the field works. It amplifies coherence when it's shared. Scientists are beginning to explore this principle through what's known as morphic resonance. The theory suggests that once a new pattern of thought or behavior is carved out, it becomes easier for others to access it. Like cutting a trail in the forest. The first time, it takes effort. But each time after, the path becomes clearer, easier to walk. Collective intention works in the same way. When enough of us align, the field makes that state of consciousness more available to everyone. That's why community matters so much in manifestation. We're not meant to do this alone. When people gather, whether in prayer circles, meditation groups, or even comment sections, they create what researchers call coherent intention, a unified beam of focus powerful enough to reshape reality. Ancient cultures knew this well. They sang, chanted, prayed, and danced together, not just for celebration but to magnify their intention. They believed unity amplified magnetism, whether for rain, harvest, or healing. And now, modern science is starting to back them up. Studies on group meditation, for example, show measurable reductions in crime rates and stress levels in cities. When collective energy aligns, the field responds in ways that can be observed and recorded, which means that when you share, when you comment, when you align in spaces like this, you're not just helping yourself, you're joining a wave much larger than you. So type 888. Look at who else joins in. Let it remind you that you're not walking this path alone, that every declaration builds a stronger resonance, a louder signal, and a bigger ripple in the field. And most importantly, let it remind you that you don't chase anymore. You attract because you've already become. And here's the deeper secret. The life you want isn't something far away. It's already real in the field of infinite potential. Every version of your life exists simultaneously, waiting for you to tune into it. You're not forcing reality to bend. You're selecting the version you want to live. And that choice begins not with effort, but with embodiment. Think about it like this. Your dream life is a vibrational neighbor. It's not in another universe or in a far-off future. It's right next door, separated only by the frequency you're currently tuned to. That's why Neville Goddard taught the power of assuming the wish fulfilled. He wasn't talking about wishful daydreaming. He was talking about conscious selection. You don't ask life to change. You declare, this is who I am now. And the field, which always mirrors coherence, reflects that identity back to you. But there's one non-negotiable: authenticity. You can't fake wealth while radiating fear. You can't chant affirmations from a place of panic. You can't meditate for hours while secretly clinging to your old identity. The quantum field doesn't listen to your surface performance. It responds to your actual vibration. So, how do you step into your authentic power? By turning alignment into a lifestyle, not a hobby. By choosing again and again to embody the version of you who already has what you desire. By letting that version influence how you speak, how you move, how you decide. At first, it may feel like practice. Over time, it becomes natural. You stop acting like the person you want to be and simply become them. And this doesn't require reinventing yourself overnight. It's about micro-adjustments, moment-to-moment shifts. When faced with a choice, you ask, what would the future me do here? When emotions flare, you ask, does this feeling align with where I'm going or where I've been? When opportunities show up, you ask, is this life responding to my new frequency? These tiny decisions compound, stacking into a new identity over time. It's like building muscle. You don't notice a huge difference after one workout, but repetition changes everything. The same is true for manifestation. Don't measure progress by external results. Those come later. Measure by your inner state. Ask yourself, am I more peaceful today than yesterday? Do I trust myself more deeply? Am I less reactive to chaos? Those are the signs you're tuning into your new timeline, even before physical evidence appears. This is the quantum secret hardly anyone talks about. Not because it's hidden, but because it's so simple. Too simple for a world hooked on struggle. Too quiet for a culture addicted to fireworks. But in that simplicity lies the real key. The less you force, the more reality shapes itself around your being. So, allow yourself to trust this. Stop waiting for proof. Become the proof. Real manifestations don't always arrive with explosions. They often slip in quietly, felt first as an inner peace, a deeper breath, a calm knowing. The universe rarely shouts, it whispers, and that leads to a powerful question. What if the transformation you've been waiting for has actually been waiting on you? What if the timeline you're longing for is sitting right beside you, waiting for your signal that says, I'm ready now? If this message has stirred something in you, share your affirmation or story in the comments. Let's make this more than a video. Let's make it a field, a collective portal. As you read others' words, remember, every voice strengthens the wave. Together, we amplify the signal. And if you feel activated, consider subscribing. Not just to get more videos, but to connect with a community that understands the universe is always listening. A space for people ready to embody what they've been chasing. Because here's the truth. You're not becoming powerful. You already are. You're not learning manifestation. You're remembering it. The moment you stop chasing and start aligning, manifestation stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling natural. That's when the real magic begins. And once you've absorbed this foundational truth, there's a next step waiting. The upcoming video, Quantum Breakthrough Revealed, dives into the exact technique that accelerates everything we've been talking about. A method that can make timeline shifts feel instantaneous instead of gradual. Once you learn it, your reality won't just change. It will expand in ways you never imagined. So, hold this truth close. The field is already responding to you. The only question left is, what frequency will you choose today?